Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the regular meeting of council with an echo. Okay, no problem. Take two. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the regular meeting of council for the Township of Malahide on June 5th, 2025. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 7:01. We'll begin the proceedings with O Canada. Please rise.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command.
Car ton bras s'est porté l'épée, il s'est porté la croix. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits.
God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Next, we'll proceed with the approval of the agenda. Any changes or additions? Deputy Mayor Widner.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I have a couple about road concerns brought to me in the last couple of weeks, so. Thank
So
you.
we'll capture that in announcements. Thank you. Any other additions? Changes? Seeing none, may I have the resolution, please?
That the June 5th, 2025 regular council meeting agenda be approved as adopted.
Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Serna moves, Councillor Lewis seconds. All in favor? Motion is carried. Next is disclosure of pecuniary interest. Deputy Mayor Widner.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I have two, the Leonard Jones drain and the Brooks drain.
Oh, thank you. So noted. So next is announcements. Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I had a couple, well, more than two calls. So it appears 45 and 73 has had a rash of collisions again. Don't know what caused it. It's probably driver inattentiveness, but it is what it is. But can we maybe ask the county to have a look at maybe some enhancements to that corner? Whether it be, I know speed bumps aren't popular, but, or a bigger signs or flashing signs or something like that. I'd like to do that. And also my arch nemesis road 73. It's still having problems out there. I actually witnessed almost a head-on this week from some idiot that pulled up in the passing lane. There's some lady with a carload of kids going into Clovermead. I know who the guy was. I called the police and I called his business. Well-known business person around here. I think, man, you should know better. And it's just, I don't know what we can do, but I have some ideas. Maybe we'll have to consider lowering the speed limit or putting a community safety zone in. I don't know what else we can do. We're gonna have to start hitting these people harder, but it's all over. And the police that I did talk to says that is why they're having so many fatalities, is driver inattentiveness. It's never been this bad. So I don't know how we can crack down on it, but we're gonna have to do something. So anyway, that's about all I have. It's just, that's all over. I noticed this week, just that I've been driving around, even the crosswalks in towns. People walk across when it's not even the right time, and then people blow the horns. People are getting angry lately, I think. But anyway, thank you.
For your second point, then, should we also send a request to the county to, like a formal request to revisit the issue?
I did speak to Mr. Duchek. He says, yeah, we can do whatever he'll do whatever we think is adequate. And I would think maybe, I don't know, I'd like to see us put no passing right on the pavement. Maybe that would help. And then we can also look at I know it will be popular, lowering the speed limit or community safety zone. I believe you have to have 60 kilometers to get that. I'm not sure of that, so I'd have to have that verified, but, yeah, he's willing to work with us. I don't know if we need to do anything that way, but
Right.
with the police one and, or the county and maybe the police should get involved with 45 and see if they have any ideas.
Right.
Um,
So I think, so in my conversations with Mr. Duchek as well, I think if we don't have to necessarily provide suggestions, if we just say, could, the township request that the county relook at this turning lane to revisit, again, some additional suggestions, and then they could come back to county council. So perhaps all we need to do is to say it needs some additional review.
Well, it needs some enhancements, that's for sure.
Yeah, okay. And then the staff, I guess, it would go through county council and then county staff can look at all the different options, like some of them, but some of those that you're suggesting. So we'll try everything that we can. Any other comments on that? Councilor Glinsky?
Madam Mayor, as far as 45 John Wise Line and 73 Highway, that's been brought up before, and the county wasn't very receptive to doing anything at that time. So I sure hope that they get with it now and decide to do something, because I saw one there just this past week, I believe, and the week before that. Yeah.
And as indicated, that's become another hotspot, unfortunately, not.
But I don't understand why St. Thomas can put all the roundabouts in, whereas the county is so objecting to putting a roundabout at Ron McNeil Line and John Wise Line in 73.
And I don't know that the county has officially objected to it. I think right now this is a perfect opportunity. There is a transportation master plan that has been, is being disseminated and is seeking public input. So I think we can encourage, well, all of us can contribute to it, but also any members of the public, this would be the time to add our voice for the need to use roundabouts for those dangerous intersections. We've heard recently, even just north of us, the same thing, two fatal accidents with the same configurations. Councillor Wilson and then Deputy Mayor.
Through you, Madam Mayor, the problem with any of it is budget. So we all want to, when the county comes back with a budget that is whatever percentage and it's too high, it's like we squawk. But we also want the county to build these roundabouts. So there's somewhere in there's a happy medium, but it's, no one wants to pay more, but it's also just the way it is. If we have to fork up, another whatever 0.5% on our budget in order to pay more to the county so they will build those roundabouts in our township, it is like it's out of our hands. Our road department can't just start building. It's all county. So if we want the county to do it, they have to have a budget to do it. So it's one of those, it's catch-22.
Be a matter of prioritization. Deputy Mayor Widner first.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I have been told that the 52 and 73 roundabout is on the books, but it's not close. I'd like to have it closer, but, and further to Chester's point, the ones in St. Thomas are a whole lot less money than I was told. A rough estimate would be 7 to 8 million, which I find hard to believe for 52 and 73. And the ones in St. Thomas are probably 1 million to 2 million, so they're considerably less, but that doesn't belittle the point. It would be nice to have some and get them moving on. And like my talk with the police officer, he said, there's nothing wrong with these roads. It's the drivers. And they're just not paying attention. So I don't know how you can change that, but more policing, I guess, but they can't be everywhere.
And that's what a roundabout does. Like, that is put an obstacle literally in the way of the driver. It seems to be the only way to make people pay attention. And Councilor Glinsky?
They say that money is the issue, but yet it didn't seem to be an issue at Highbury and Ron McNeil Line, because there is a roundabout there, and either county or somebody's paying for it. And I don't buy this, that they can't afford it. They can, if St. Thomas can put in a dozen of them, why can't we put in, why can't the county put in 2 for us? One at Ron McNeil and 73 and one at John Wise and John Wise in 73. And if you travel around the countryside, the first time I ran across these, I was going to Stratford, and I was wondering why are these out in the middle of nowhere? Well, obviously they're there to control the traffic. If they can control traffic that way, why can't we? And maybe we should. And as maybe a strong letter from the township to the county might, or a couple of strong voices, might make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you. So again, yeah, and I think if council wished, we could, as part of the contribution to the master plan, like there could be a formal letter from council if you wish. I think I'm seeing some nods, and then all of us individually who want to see those roundabouts, because it's not a question whether there's no money, as we said. It's a matter of what the community wants to prioritize. So if we want that prioritized on the budget, then let's add our voices to that. Good. Okay. Good discussion. It will be a good discussion at county council at the next budget meeting. Okay. Thank you for that. Thank you for bringing that up. We'll move to.
I just solved the problem. May I? What we have to do is put a submarine down at Port Bruce, like they did in Burwell, and then tell the Ontario government that we did that, and then they can put a roundabout at John Wise Line and 45 and at Ron McNeil Line, like they did at Plank Road and number 3 for all the Toronto traffic to come see the sub, like they thought they were going to do in Burwell. And it's paid for, and we've solved the problem. Thank you.
We're always looking for creative solutions from everybody.
It worked for them.
Cute.
Can we make ours yellow?
Malahide colors, yes. Okay, so then let's make it into a resolution. We'll formalize that a bit. Thank you for the good discussion. Go ahead.
The council directs staff to contact the county and the OPP to discuss potential improvements at the intersection of Highway 73 and Highway 45, as well as no passing enhancements along 73 Highway near Clovermead, and that a letter outlining these concerns and proposed improvements be drafted and included in the county master plan.
Thank you for that. Mover and seconder, please. Deputy Mayor Whitner moves, Councillor Leach seconds. All those in favor? That is carried. Next is adoption of minutes. We have the minutes from our meeting on May 15th. Any errors or omissions? Seeing none. The resolution, please.
That the minutes of the regular council meeting held on May 15th, 2025 be adopted.
Mover and seconder. Councillor Lewis moves, Councillor Wilson seconds. All in favor? Motion is carried. Next on the agenda, we have a meeting of the Court of Revisions for the Leonard Jones Drain. So Clerk Adams, can I have a resolution for council to sit as the Court of Revision, please?
That the Council of the Township of Malahide does hereby appoint the following members to sit on the Court of Revision for the Leonard Jones Drain Branch C extension: Mayor Dominique Giguère, Councillor Rick Cerna, Councillor Chester Galinsky.
Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Cerna moves, Councillor Lewis seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. So I'll call the meeting of the Court of Revision to order and note that this meeting refers to the Municipal Drain, Leonard Jones Drain Branch C extension. It involves a report, the engineer's report dated November 14th, 2024, and the engineer is John Spreet. Mr. Spreet, you are with us. Welcome. You were with us.
Sorry, Your Worship.
No problem. You want to
so-
give us a brief outline?
Yeah, no problem. Tonight's meeting is the quarter revision. So to give you a brief outline of the works, this drain is simply an extension of the branch C of the Leonard Jones drain. It came about as a result of a Mr. Fair who was severing two lots on County Road 73. And as a requirement of those severances, he needs to have a municipal drain. And the assessments are all to Mr. Fair. There are some assessments for maintenance on the drain to the upstream watershed. There were assessments for maintenance on the previous one, and it's not anticipated that anybody will have any costs. It's just their water contributes to the drain, so future maintenance will be part of it. Are there any questions?
Just before we move to questions, have there been any comments or objections received? Just for the record. Welcome to your assistant.
I apologize. My little daughter's startled.
No, it's wonderful. Succession planning.
Yes.
So the clerk informs me that we have not received any comments or objections. And so is there anyone in attendance who wishes to make comments? Doesn't look like it. So I'll ask the members of the Court of Revisions, any questions? Counselor Glinsky or Counselor Cerna? No? Okay, so the Court of Revision members will now consider a resolution to confirm the rates presented by the engineer. Do you have the resolution, please?
That the Court of Revision members for the Leonard Jones Drain Branch C extension do hereby accept the recommendations of drainage engineer John Spreet, and further does hereby confirm that the drainage assessments as outlined in the report of the drainage engineer dated November 14th, 2024.
Mover and seconder. Counselor Glinsky moves, Counselor Cerna second. All those in favor? Motion is carried. And I think that's it for the Court of Revision. So if I could have a resolution to close the Court of Revision and resume regular meeting of council.
That the
Thank you, Mr. Spreet.
That the Court of Revision relating to the Leonard Jones Drain Branch C extension be adjourned and that council meeting reconvene at 7:18 p.m.
Mover and seconder, please. Counselor Glinsky moves. Counselor Cerna seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Okay, this brings us to a public meeting for a zoning bylaw application. So we'll call this meeting to order with the resolution, please.
That the planning public meeting, no, that the that council adjourns its regular meeting at 7:19 in order to convene in a public meeting under section 3412 of the Planning Act.
Mover and seconder, please. Counselor Leach moves, Counselor Lewis seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. So this is a public meeting as required by the Planning Act to allow any person an opportunity to make representation with respect to a proposed zoning bylaw amendment relating to the property known municipally as 5804 Nova Scotia Line. Clerk Adams, can you tell us the method of notice, and when the notice was given for this public meeting?
This public meeting was advertised in the Aylmer Express for 2 consecutive weeks on May 21st and May 28th. In addition, affected property owners within 120 meters were mailed a notice at minimum 20 days prior to this meeting.
Thank you. Mr. Steele, welcome. Can you provide an overview of the application? Please let us know also if there were any comments received.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The owners have filed a zoning bylaw amendment and consent application to facilitate a surplus farm dwelling severance. Staff reviewed the application against the applicable planning policies and finds that it's consistent with the provincial policy statement as well as the county and local official plans. No comments have been received from agencies or the public, and so staff would recommend that the zoning bylaw amendment be approved and that the consent application be supported. And that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to questions from members of council.
Okay, before I go to members of council, is there anyone in person or online? Yes?
Good evening through you, Madam Mayor. I'm Tracy Pilon Abs, the planning consultant on behalf of the applicant. The applicant has reviewed the report and supports staff recommendation in addition to the proposed conditions. So happy to answer any questions at the appropriate time.
Thank you for that. Thank you for being here. So now to members of council, any questions or comments? Seeing none. So there's no further discussion, then please be advised that any person wishing further information regarding the passing of this proposed bylaw amendment should contact our clerk. So we can proceed with the adjournment of this public meeting with the resolution.
That the planning public meeting adjourn at 7:22 p.m. and council reconvene in its regular meeting in order to continue with its deliberations.
Motion is carried. And now for the consideration of the planner's report by council.
That report number DS 25-19 entitled Zoning Bylaw Amendment Application of Ingrid Vandenborre and Lino Kudo relating to the property located at Concession 2, part of Lot 19, 50804 Nova Scotia line be received, and that the zoning bylaw amendment application number D14Z08-25 of Ingrid Vandenborre and Lino Kudo, authorized agent Tracy Pilon Abs, relating to the property located at Concession 2, Part Lot 19, and known municipally as 50804 Nova Scotia line be approved for the reasons set out in this report, and that the application for consent to sever E31-25 of Ingrid Vandenborre and Lino Kudo relating to the property located at part of Lot 19, Concession 2, 50804 Nova Scotia line be supported for the reasons set out in this report, and that this report and recommended conditions be forwarded to the Land Division Committee for its review and consideration.
Thank you. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Serna moves, Councillor Lewis seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Okay, so next on the agenda, we have a second public meeting for another zoning bylaw application. So we'll call this meeting to order with a resolution, please.
The council adjourns its regular meeting at 7:23 p.m. in order to convene in a public meeting under Section 3412 of the Planning Act.
Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Leach moves. Councillor Lewis seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. And once again, a reminder that this is a public meeting as required by the Planning Act to allow any person an opportunity to make representation with respect to a proposed zoning bylaw amendment relating to the property known municipally as 12044 Dorchester Road. Clerk Adams, can you let us know the method of notice and when was the notice given to the public for this meeting?
This public meeting was advertised in the Aylmer Express for 2 consecutive weeks on May 21st and 28th. In addition, affected property owners within 120 meters were mailed a notice minimum 20 days prior to the meeting.
Thank you. And now, Mr. Steele, can you give us an overview of this application?
So the zoning bylaw amendment has been submitted to facilitate a home-based industrial development on the subject property. For a bit of context, during the Township Official Plan Review in 2021 and 2022, a new home-based industrial designation was introduced and applied to the subject lands. The intent of the home-based industrial use would consist of a small-scale industrial use where the owner-operator of the business would be able to reside on the same property. And that the development would have an outward appearance of a residential subdivision, while also providing the opportunity for a small-scale business to operate at a larger scale than a typical home occupation. And so the zoning bylaw amendment would propose to rezone the developable lands from general agricultural A1 to home-based industrial M5. And this would permit a range of uses, including animal hospitals, contractors' yards, machine and service shops uses, motor vehicle repair and auto body uses, as well as warehouse uses. The provincial planning statement, county official plan, and local official plan all contain policies speaking to directing growth to settlement areas. Additionally, it also speaks to providing additional opportunities for employment uses and economic development within a community, as well as ensuring that industrial uses are also compatible with the surrounding area. The proposed development would provide additional economic opportunities, as well as expanding a range of uses and businesses that could operate within the township. Additionally, proposed planning policies and proposed setbacks within the zoning bylaw amendment have been reviewed against the applicable planning policies, as well as the ministry's D6 guidelines that speak to guidelines for ensuring that there's compatibility between industrial facilities. So staff are satisfied that the proposed zoning regulations would be able to address any kind of concerns of compatibility with the surrounding area. It also is noted that future development of these lots would be subject to site plan control approval, which is in their process that would ensure that when specific development proposals come forward on these lots, that they do remain appropriate. An environmental impact study was submitted with the application, and it was to confirm that there'd be no negative impacts on natural heritage features on adjacent lands. No comments have been received from agencies or members of the public. And so staff find that the proposal would be consistent with the provincial policy statement, as well as be conform with the policies of both the county official plan and township official plan. And so staff will recommend the application be approved. And that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to questions from members of council.
Okay, thank you for this overview. Now I'll look to anyone attending in person who wishes to add comments. Thank you. You can provide your name and your comment.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council. My name is Steve Cornwell. I'm a planner with CJDL Engineering in Tillsonburg. I'm here representing the owner who's looking to develop this property. I want to say we appreciate staff's time on this matter, and we agree with all of their recommendations except for one very key issue that we are quite alarmed about. The main thing that we're at odds with the staff recommendation about is that we disagree with their concerns that these 8 small homes, these 8 small lots with homes, with small businesses, we disagree that they require any potential upgrades to Dorchester Road. There are already 4 houses on this section of Dorchester Road, along with an industrial operation. The welding shop that's already there. We also see that arguably most of the traffic on this section is through traffic, people coming from the north towards Elmer. We think that any design of the road, like the pavement depths, the aggregate that carries it, anything that's fit to serve the existing traffic is fit to serve these 8 lots. And so, yeah, we're suggesting that if the township proceeds with this investigation into the structure of the pavement, any deficiencies that would be found to be remediated, that would have to be the case whether this development goes through or not. Our geotechnical consultant has suggested that no special pavement design is required for our proposal, just recommending simple light duty pavement. Our traffic consultant analyzed the proposal at the request of the county in terms of the potential for intersection improvements. He found that there would be negligent truck traffic in terms of volume stemming from this development, and that no intersection improvements would be needed at all. So it isn't unusual for disputes over what costs, what costs for services are required to be shouldered by development, and what is normally taken care of by municipalities. And while things like new internal roads for subdivisions and identified intersection improvements, those are just routinely understood to be that the developer pays, the developer builds those facilities. A requirement to rebuild an existing road is really rare. And the only times I've seen that as a requirement for new development are cases where there's new aggregate facilities proposed in isolated areas. I'm really only thinking of one that was on a winter maintenance only road. That said, I don't have a perfect knowledge of all of these circumstances or anything, but we really don't see how the rebuild of this local road could ever be reasonably seen as important for the creation of these new lots. There's really, as the planning consultant for the township noted, when this OP amendment went through to allow these sorts of uses in this location, there was, my understanding was that there was an intention to accommodate for growth in a way that made good use of existing facilities. Exactly the sort of thing that we are proposing. Nothing about this proposal is unusual or unexpected. So what we're asking for today is for council to move forward both on this zoning application and the subdivision proposal. But we ask that it do so without the inclusion of condition 19 from the subdivision report that speaks to this issue. Now, the owners are here as well, and so if mayor or council has any questions, we'll be happy to answer them.
Okay, thank you so much for that. And certainly it is a welcome development in our township. So, and that's why I think everybody's been working hard to try to make this work. We definitely welcome this. So I know that, so this evening we have your project in two parts of the agenda. Just want to clarify with staff. So the specifics of the road upgrade that you were speaking to, I think are in the draft plan of subdivision, which is later on the agenda, is not part of the public meeting. But since you're there, and obviously the two are closely tied, I just want to see if staff want to comment on it, because once we go into the new business under the draft of subdivision, then there's no delegation or there's no opportunity for the public to speak or the agent. So I'm looking at Mr. Godby or Mr. Steele. I don't know if you want to comment just on the road upgrades, which again, I clarify that it is part of a later report we will be discussing.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you, I guess one of the relating specifically to condition 19, and I'm not sure if council has fully read and reviewed that condition or familiar with it. I can read it if you want for clarity of discussion. So condition 19 states that a third-party geotechnical evaluation of Dorchester Road shall be completed by the township to provide the required road design to support the proposed development. The required financial contribution towards any road upgrades shall be determined based on the total estimated cost of the required improvements minus contribution from the township equal to the cost of existing planned roadwork. In accordance with the Development Charges Act and the township's Development Charges Bylaw and background study. The development contribution shall be agreed upon by Township Council. So essentially the purpose of this condition is that staff have expressed concern from day one with the increased traffic volumes and with the industrial nature of a site like this, and knowing that Dorchester Road is a local township road that was basically a gravel road that had tar and chip thrown on it at some point in its life, and would continue to essentially exist in that form, provided that there wasn't some other external force that would say that further upgrades are required. So with our concerns about the more rapid deterioration of this road, that was the purpose of the geotechnical evaluation, so we could actually get a professional opinion about what is actually under the ground and how will that road stand up to these additional uses that are being proposed. So with that, the township has had boreholes done. We have a draft geotechnical report, which basically is telling us that there really is not a road base under this road. We're pretty much looking at some granular A with tar and chip on top, which is about what we would expect to see. Therefore, we do expect that if nothing is done, that this road will deteriorate at a much more rapid pace than would normally have happened. And ultimately, it's the end goal of this is to give council the option to be able to negotiate with the developers to come to some sort of agreement as to a financial contribution that could be put forward, recognizing that additional work will be required. Additional Malahide taxpayer funds will be spent on this road that were otherwise unplanned. So with that, the clause was specifically crafted to talk about the development contribution shall be agreed upon by township council, meaning that that is not the final dollar values don't need to be determined tonight. And in reality, the development contribution could be anywhere from 0 to 100 based on whatever may be negotiated at a future time between the development and the township. I don't know if that helps give a little context from our side of things. Happy to try and answer any other questions that you may have.
So just so we stay within procedure, so council will have a chance to ask staff further questions and we can debate this particular item when we're under this agenda item in the meeting. So right now, I just wanted to take an opportunity if council had staff, if council had questions of the applicant while we're in the public meeting. Or if Mr. Steele, if you had anything to add.
Through Madam Mayor, I have no additional comments at this time.
Okay. Is there any, and were there any other comments you wanted to add to specifically more to the rezoning application itself?
Not to the rezoning itself, although I could suggest if council was interested in more feedback on the issue that's more pertinent to the subdivision, we'll be here and I could be invited to, even though I haven't asked to appear as a delegation.
Okay. Sir, did you want to add? If you could come to the podium, please, and state your name.
Sorry.
No worries. There you go.
I used to be the owner of Don West Construction in St. Thomas, and Don West Construction over the years has developed about 20 subdivisions. So I'm quite familiar with the process, and I must say that what Mr. Godby said was that they had concerns about the road from day one. That is incorrect. The process for developing is that all the people involved come to the table and set the rules as to what has to be studied and what has to be dealt with in the in order to put a complete application in. We had a meeting, a Zoom meeting with the county and the township people. Everyone said exactly what we had to do. We did all of that, submitted the application to the county, and they said, yes, you have a complete application. You have done everything that was required. After that, we get a comment from from your municipality saying, we want you to study the road, the condition of the road. And we said, hey, where are you coming from? Like, this is a little late. You had opportunity to request that at the pre-consulting meeting, and nothing was ever said about the road. The traffic study had to be done. We did the traffic study. We really object to the fact that at the 11th hour, or no, let's say after midnight, we get something thrown at us that we were totally not aware of. This could be a big cost. The owners have already put in 2 wells to the tune of $50,000. And the studies that were completed, roughly 100,000 altogether, including the consulting fees. And now you want to force us to pay for upgrading of the road. And if that had been a condition, we likely would not have gone any further and said, oh no, this is just not feasible. We're not going to do this. So I respectfully request council to take that condition out of the approvals. Thank you.
Thank you for that additional information and context and from your perspective. So that's useful, council. Again, we'll have an opportunity to debate that under item K. So for now, as far as the public meeting is concerned, for the rezoning, any other comments or questions from members of council? Seeing none. So if there's no further discussion, then please be advised that any person wishing further information regarding the passing of the proposed bylaw amendment should contact our clerk. And so for now, we can proceed with the adjournment of the public meeting.
That the planning meeting adjourn at 7:44 p.m. and council reconvene its regular meeting in order to continue with its deliberations.
Mover and seconder, please. Councilor Lewis moves, Councilor Leach seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. And now for the consideration of the planner's report for the rezoning application.
That report number DS 25-23 entitled Zoning Bylaw Amendment Application of Kelvin and Rosemary Sarloos, authorized agent Cyril J. DeMeyer Limited, relating to the property located at part of Lot 2, Concession 9, 12044 Dorchester Road be received, and that the zoning bylaw amendment application number D14Z01-24 of Kelvin and Rosemary Sarloos, authorized agent Cyril J. DeMeyer, be approved for the reasons set out in this report.
Thank you. Mover and seconder, please. So that will be, so the road issue will be discussed under item K. There's another report from staff for the application. So right now we're approving Mr. Steele's recommendation for the zoning application, zoning amendment application. So we have to do it all in separate steps. So we have the resolution. Can I have a mover and seconder? So Counselor Leach moved, the seconder, Counselor Lewis seconded. Any further questions or comments on that? All those in favor? That is carried. Okay, thank you for that. So next on the agenda is, we do have a delegation from Mr. McIntyre regarding water safety rip current information project. Welcome.
Thank you. Again, so I can't, just move this. It's better. Yes, thank you very much, and good evening, Honorable Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and councillors. Thank you for receiving my delegation. My name is Nathan McIntyre, and I'm here to raise awareness of a relatively unknown phenomenon called rip currents. And I'd like to just give a little bit of background about myself just to get going here. So I'm a seasoned water safety professional with over 25 years experience in aquatic and marine operations. For 18 seasons, I served as a lifeguard on the main beach in Port Stanley, Ontario, where I was instrumental in developing the modern day operational standards for the Central Elgin Beach Rescue Service. As a national lifeguard certified in waterfront, I have personally responded to hundreds of nearshore and offshore rescues in Port Stanley. I built a successful marine rescue program for the Central Elgin Beach Rescue Service, responding to an average of 25 to 30 offshore vessel and medical emergencies annually. I expanded local outreach by developing water safety presentations in public schools and contributing to community-wide events such as the Children's Water Safety Festival. My commitments led to a full integration of the Beach Rescue Service into the municipality's Fire Rescue Service Department, which elevated the aquatic rescue response within Port Stanley. It's a truly special and one-of-a-kind program in Ontario. It's a model for lifeguarding programs across the province. My pursuit of marine knowledge has taken me around the world, from Australia, New Zealand, Fiji, to the Caribbean, Mexico, and the United States, including correspondence with Hawaiian lifeguards, studying best practices from leading surf lifesaving organizations. In 1998, a close friend, Jeff Brasser, a member of this community, lost his life to a fatal drowning in Port Stanley just 4 days before his 17th birthday. Myself, including Jeff's brother, and many other fellow peers witnessed this tragedy as we were enjoying the last day of high school on the beach. This incident ignited a lifelong mission to prevent further tragedies through awareness, training, and scientific understanding. Through years of observation and collaboration with scientists like Dr. Chris Hauser, the Dean of Science at the University of Waterloo, coastal geomorphologist, I have come to understand that this little-known phenomenon is a highly efficient and naturally engineered nearshore mechanism of drowning. I continue contributing to data collection through the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration's National Rip Current Database, with meteorologist Megan Dodson. Megan, myself, along with colleagues from the University of Michigan and other water rescue practitioners, co-founded the Great Lakes Water Safety Consortium. I currently serve as Ontario Regional Co-Representative and sit on the lifeguarding and data metrics committees. I also sit on the board for the Elgin County Drowning Prevention Coalition, which is a grassroots group advocating for both fatal and non-fatal drowning prevention. My qualifications span beyond lifesaving. I'm certified in PADI, scuba diver, as an open water, advanced open water, a rescue diver, and a cave and cavern diver. I hold a sea survival and marine firefighting certification. I am a commercial captain, a commercial captain's license for coastal navigation, 200 gross tons, with a sailing endorsement. I've logged thousands of nautical miles across the Atlantic, Ocean, Caribbean, and the Gulf of Mexico. I'm a proud member of the Canadian Coast Guard Auxiliary Central Arctic Region, currently inactive, with my 3 young kids at home. I work previously as a marine ecologist in the Garrafón Eco Park in Xcaret in Xel-Há in the Minor Riviera, Mexico, creating a restoration project for a portion of the Mesoamerican Barrier Reef System. As well, I created an eco experience with East Coast bottlenose dolphins called Delphinus Trek. I'm a registered massage therapist and a regulated healthcare professional in Ontario, and I hold multiple advanced medical certifications. On the heels of another tragic rip current related fatality last year, in 2024 in Port Stanley, I founded the Rip Current Information Project. It's a registered non-for-profit dedicated to raising awareness, correcting misinformation, and ultimately saving lives on the Great Lakes. For far too long, there has been misinformation regarding Great Lakes undertow. Rip currents are the real phenomenon that occur on every beach with breaking waves. This is a local issue. on the Great Lakes. It's our collective issue. NOAA reports that over 80% of surf rescues are due to rip currents. Dr. Chris Hauser notes that an average of 50 surf-related drownings annually on the Great Lakes region are attributed to rip currents. The University of Windsor reports that the economic burden of drowning fatalities in Ontario alone exceeds $380 million annually. That's $380 million annually. And many of our public beaches lack lifeguards, any active monitoring, or any kind of standard delivery of information all across Ontario. So in 2025, I'll be targeting Port Stanley, Port Burwell, and all surrounding communities within Elgin County with Rip Current messaging. To meet this challenge, I founded the Rip Current Information Project. To date, I've created a recognizable symbol for rip current awareness. I've built an educational website, still working on that as well, developing. I've made public presentations for schools, emergency services, fire departments, governments. I've produced and delivered those presentations. I've produced promotional materials, flyers, brochures. I'm still working on a children's book, a series of 4 children's books. I'm actively engaged with media right now, with MPs, MPPs, our Premier, Ministry of Education, provincial parks, conservation areas. I've initiated conversations with the Life Saving Society to integrate this messaging into school curriculum. So across Ontario through the Swim to Survive program in grade 3, grade 7. And so far the reception across everywhere has been just overwhelmingly positive. Just getting started. And I believe that Malahide can also play a role in helping to deliver the information and messaging to the public. So I'm just asking for support. And by way of just promoting the message, potentially offering space for community presentation. I've developed a few presentations called Understanding Rip Currents, assisting with any outreach via your municipal channels through the Parks Department or however that works through your channels here, and just endorsing and elevating the message. I just believe that there should be a standard by now, and I'm going to start local and hopefully end with all of Ontario. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to take those questions. If not, I can sit down.
Thank you. And thank you for everything that you're doing. I'll open it up for comments and questions. Councillor Wilson.
Through you, Madam Mayor. Since Malahide's sort of, I guess, in charge for maintenance in Port Bruce, and that's provincial park, and we know there's no lifeguards down there. Any chance of doing some notification, little display signage at the beach in Port Bruce, where that big ramp goes up the middle? That's sort of where everybody goes. And if we could do any sort of diagram, what to look for, wave patterns with your symbols, and
yeah,
anything we could do to help with that, I think that might be good.
Thank you. Is that part of like some signage that we can be put on the beach?
Yes, there signage. A couple of things with signage is that there isn't a standard across Ontario. So that is something that with Chris Hauser and with the Life Saving Society, we hope to establish is a visual standard as well as the language. That being said, each facility or each beach, Port Burwell, Port Bruce, Port Stanley, every beach is unique to its own facility, as a pool is. The Life Saving Society currently offers audits. They're the professional across Canada. So they audit pools, they'll audit backyard pools as well as city pools, as well as beaches. And I'm working with them currently to develop that Rip Current, as well as Chris Hauser from Waterloo. We're working closely together to develop this standard language. So each facility should probably, in my opinion, require an individual independent audit. Therefore, the signage can reflect that individual facility. Just like a quick example of that would be a pool, and their deep end could be 8 feet at one facility, and that facility is required to notify the swimmers that that deep end is 8 feet, whereas a different pool could be 12 feet or 15 feet, et cetera, or whatever. So each facility should have their own specific, approach, but that standard should also be met as well.
Counselor Cerna?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to our gentleman here, you're talking about language. Maybe it's just me, but what is a rip current?
I can give you the actual definition, sir. Definition from, this isn't from NOAA, but a narrow, powerful current flowing from shore out past the breaking waves. They occur on any beach with wave action, including the Great Lakes, often mistaken as undertow. Rip currents pull swimmers away from shore. They're strongest at the surface. That's not even definition, but that's so anytime water piles up on a shoreline, that water needs to leave. It's just a natural physical, water will fall downhill and it'll find an equilibrium eventually. With wave action, there's language again. So as waves crash on shore, it's called a large or a high wave setup. As that wave setup increases, water volume increases. Not really easily to see, but that water needs to get back out to the lake, and it finds a way to do that, usually through different, there's 6 different types of rip currents. So there's through 6 different avenues.
Okay, but back in my day, we used to call it undertow.
An undertow is a thing. It's a real term. It's called bed return flow in science, and it's a general return of water. Whereas rip currents are a specific channelized current or a specific flow. It's a channelized flow of current. So a way of explaining that is if we all walked outside right now, we could probably feel the wind flowing around us, and that would be a general return. So that'd be essentially an undertow. You could feel that movement of air around us. It isn't really a concern until it's focused. And you walk around 2 buildings maybe, and that air is focused through those two buildings. You can feel that airflow. That's aerodynamics. Water is hydrodynamics. So it's fluid dynamics. It's the same thing. Fluid mechanics, it's explained through physics through fluid dynamics. If that makes, yeah, it's a term. So under bed flow return again is a general return. It moves very short increments. And a rip current will move, we're talking like an undertow will be 50 centimeters of movement, whereas a rip current here past that wall easily dragging swimmers or debris or sand, sediment, anything out into deeper water. Undertow doesn't even pull people under the water, even though it will return water underneath moving water, but it won't pull people under the water. That's a myth, and it's a myth that should be corrected. Rip currents are strongest at the surface of the water. So as humans, and everything else, we float most of our bodies beneath the water. So our bodies become a sail for these currents on the surface. We're trying to reach air on the surface, and we're trying to stay on the surface, and the water will just simply move us into deeper water where we can't touch. On the Great Lakes, we have a wave period that is far higher, faster than an ocean. So when the storms increase, the wave period increases, and we have like 4 to 6 second waves. In other words, like a wave will crash, and 4 to 6 seconds later, another wave will crash. 4 to 6 seconds later, another wave will crash. Versus an ocean, where a wave crashes, and you can count to maybe 16 or 18 before the next wave crashes, which provides an individual with an exceptional amount of time to get their bearings or look around or get some oxygen. So understanding the difference can easily save a life, knowing that it's not an undercurrent. It's not going to grab your ankles. It's not going to pull you down. It's not going to hold you down. It's a surface current. You can actually swim under it. Knowing that just that one point could save a life, really. What really happens is it picks you up off those sandbars. It brings you into deeper water where you can't touch. You try to swim against it. You try to swim back towards the shore because that's what's going to save you is the shore. And you can't fight the current. It moves at about 3 feet per second. And these waves, once you're in deeper water, the waves just crash over your head. And to get your bearings, the waves crash over your head. You have to get your bearings, and it's not pulling you down. It's tiring you out in deeper water. You just succumb to the process.
Thank you. It doesn't matter to me. I can't swim, so but my best bet is to sink to the bottom and try to walk to shore. So
I'm trying to come up with an analogy for that. So like, if we see a bear in the woods, we want to call it a bear, I bet. You know?
Yeah, that's right. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Thanks, Nathan, for an excellent presentation. There's a lot of good information there. Do you have anything like we could add to our website? Like, there's a lot of good information. Be a good spot to put it. And we have some community signs where maybe wouldn't hurt to put some stuff either. So
Yeah. So a cheap option would be, I'm working on, show the type of material, but it's a metal sticker with this symbol and some wording on it. The symbol I'm turning into a QR code as well, so people can just scan the symbol. Those can easily be adapted to any sign, really. So that would be like a simple, easy, cheap way of and I could just provide those stickers for free as well. So that would link to my website. The website would have educational material for those interested in learning more about it, kind of thing. Sorry, you had another question or point that you made other than signage. Website. Yeah, so I'm working on different materials as well, so brochures and talking to you is one type of delivery, I guess, but I need to be able to speak to children in grade 3, children in grade 7, children in grade 8, even children in high school is different level of learning as well. So there's kind of a tiered approach that way. So I'm working on all these different types of approaches. I'm starting with younger kids right now. But yeah, I guess I'll have more information to offer in coming weeks and in the coming years. But at the moment, it's just hoping to establish that relationship with everybody too, so that we could talk about it and share information.
Thank you. I agree. Education is a long process and just awareness and just the tidbits of information. I think even this evening, very, very useful, but certainly as you have more materials available, we'd be happy to promote that. I'm thinking of even through emergency services, like we've done different safety events that we could do one where we have a booth, for example, for the public at the beach. And we have like Family Fun Day coming up in June where, you know, it can be a booth and so we can work with you on.
Family Fun Day, where is that happening? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
June 21st. So those kinds of events have a lot of families, and I think if you have some materials, like some tips,
Yeah.
and if not, I don't know if our community policing committee will have a booth. If not, like the OPP or emergency services may have a booth where you can share some of the space. If you don't have the resources to have like your own booth, perhaps at this
I
day.
do have a vendor set up kind of completely ready to go.
Perfect.
Yep. with all
So
the
I
brochures.
think those are great venues for us to reach our community.
I was invited to the Elgin County Fire Chiefs meeting. as well,
Wonderful.
I believe in Malahide on the 20th of August. I think,
Wonderful.
just remembering, yeah. So
Yeah.
that was, so I think that might be happening as well. Just a quick, I'm also doing an event. I built a lifeguards have a prone paddle boards for rescue, and I built one myself, and I just finished it, and I've been training to paddle it from Port Stanley to Port Burwell in an effort to raise awareness for this as well. So when that, I'm just getting the media release and the posters and everything done at Van Pelt's, but when that happens, maybe I could share that information with everybody and you could help promote that so that could get out into the community as well.
And the more you can do, train the trainers so you can clone you.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah,
I mean, you can only be in so many places, but I think if others can become, you know, ambassadors for your message.
Representatives, if you will.
Yes.
Representatives.
Yeah. Ba-dum-bum. Good one.
Time, everybody.
So thank you. Very important. Resolution to receive the delegation, please.
That the presentation from Nathan McIntyre regarding water safety RIP current information project be received for information.
Mover and seconder, please. Counselor Cerna moves, Counselor Lewis seconds. All in favor? Motion is carried. On the agenda, this brings us to approval of business. So this can be considered in one motion. These are the items that we're carrying forward from the Committee of the Whole recommendation to council. So right now we have the Springfield Swans MOU, we have the Asset Management Plan update, and the Strong Mayor Powers implementation for the Township of Malahide. Any of these items require further discussion? No? So we'll consider those as consent agenda, please.
Whereas at its May 15th, 2025 meeting, the Committee of the Whole recommended to Council 3 items, and be it resolved that Council adopts the above recommendation from the Committee of the Whole.
Thank you. Mover and seconder, please. Councilor Wilson moves, Councilor Leach seconds. All in favor? Motion is carried. Okay, so this brings us to new business. Now we can return to the discussion on the draft plan of subdivision and the application from Sarlus. Mr. Godby, you're taking, or is it Mr. Steele? Mr. Steele, go ahead.
I'll just do a brief overview. Since I did cover sort of the planning analysis from the previous presentation, just knowing that subdivision consists of 8 lots for the home-based industrial uses, wouldn't be serviced by a private well and septic system, as well as stormwater we addressed through a proposed stormwater management pond that would eventually outlet into Catfish Creek. Generally, no additional comments to add at this time. Staff have included the list of recommended conditions, which have previously been discussed at the public meeting, and staff available for questions from members of council.
Okay, thank you for that. And so based on the information we received earlier during the public meeting, I think what I understood is that, so council has 2 options. As we consider this report, we could consider removing the condition if that's the will of council. And I'm talking about condition 19 related to the road upgrade. Or I think what I heard is that at this point, we don't know what the cost is, and we don't know what the suggestion would be as far as the how we would negotiate how much would be paid by whom. So we could leave the condition in today and then receive a further report when we have actual numbers and a proposal. And at that point, that would be a second time where council could negotiate anything from 0 to 0% to 100%, or, you know, somewhere in between. So first I'll just refer to the other conditions before we look further at condition 19. Were there any other questions on any of the other conditions or elements of the report? Councilor Cerna?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. You mentioned there's 8 lots we're talking about, and correct me if I'm wrong, but when the presentation was made about the 8 lots, there were different designations for each lot, were there not? Like, it wasn't all 8 lots were residential, right? Are they all residential? I thought I heard there could be different uses for each lot. Could be this, could be that.
I think there's options within that, but Mr. Steele, could you just clarify?
Through Madam Mayor to the councillor, so that's correct. The proposed zoning is a home-based industrial zone that would permit a range of primary small-scale industrial uses, such as items like contractors' yards, motor vehicle repair uses, warehouse uses. That would also permit an accessory dwelling where the owner of that business could reside on. So all 8 lots would have the same zoning, but could permit a range of different uses in the future.
Okay, so you could have a house and a business on the same lot. Am I correct in assuming that?
Through Madam Mayor, that's correct.
Okay, so it's not just a house. So we're talking about a mini industrial zone, which is going to put more use on the road than just a lot. And that's why condition 19 is there. Because it's not just a car coming into a house at the end of the day. So that has to be considered. Not just because you're going to use, the road's going to get more usage. And if you're going to have an auto body repair job, you're going to have a tow truck and it's going to be going back and forth. And of course, there's more wear and tear on a road, than just a residential place. And it depends, and we don't know what's going to go there yet. It's a lot. God knows. And is there a limit to what they can put there as far as an industrial thing? There's no limit, is there? So we don't know. It's small industrial. What is small industrial? You said warehousing. So, I mean, what are we talking? What are we looking at here? We don't know.
Right, so there's an element of unpredictability. There is a range, but it's difficult to predict, correct? So we have to anticipate, I guess.
So
what these-
I think we have to negotiate something about, if this road gets all screwed up. I've seen it happen before. And we shouldn't have to bear the cost of fixing a road that probably isn't in the best of shape anyways. It wasn't built to withstand the wear and tear it's going to go through. And it wasn't built for that. Now we're going to make it into something it's not capable of withstanding. And all of a sudden, boom, we're going to end up with a road that's chewed up to nothing in a few years. And all of a sudden, everybody's in a bitch to go down the road and it's full of potholes and stuff. And we're going to send a coal patch crew out there. That's going to last for 6 days. And it's no good. And then I think we better look at this very carefully.
Okay, other comments? Because of course, this is why we're debating this. There's pros and cons. There's an investment on behalf of the township to welcome businesses as well. So there's and everything in between. So an investment from the township to say welcome because we want to attract more businesses to your point, say, okay, but we have to be mindful of, the ratepayers who would be, paying jointly for this. So that's why there's every option in between. I don't know who was first, Councillor.
Go ahead.
Councillor Lewis.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And through you, maybe to Adam. So on this zoning, what would the rates be for tax purposes related to if it was just straight residential? First, I guess, and then it's going to lead me to whether this lot is worth more money with this kind of zoning than if it had just regular zoning. I don't think you can answer me that one. I think I can figure that one out sort of myself, but
you won't like my answer. It kind of depends. It depends on like the proportion of the property that relates to industrial and what proportion relates to like a residential assessment. And we are not in the business ourselves of assessing properties anyway. So I'm not exactly an expert. That's something that we leave to MPAC. But yes, if there's an industrial property, there's a much higher tax rate associated with that use. Yes.
so, yeah. I was doing diligence as counsel, I would want to know the developer, knowing that he's selling lots that are going to be used commercially, maybe, or small business, whatever you want to call it. There's going to be money made there. So anybody that's wandering down that road has to know that there's expenses that are going to come to that. You can't just walk into a residential environment and run your business, I don't believe, and have the approval of all your neighbors, because we've all sat here with the neighbors that aren't too happy when things like this happen around them. So I think there should be some negotiation. I think the municipality should carry some of it also, but I think that should be definitely worked on between the two, my opinion.
Deputy Mayor.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Just a question for Jason. Now we've done some bore samples on the road. If we were, let's say there was no development even planned here. If we were going to redo the road, would we develop it to a better standard anyway? Because it's, in actual fact, it's in tough shape, but it's a good traffic calming road right now. You don't get a lot of speeding on it.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to the Deputy Mayor. If we were, right now, our current plans for that road just include a surface treatment. When we get to that trigger point, basically through that road condition where we actually will need to do a full reconstruction, we would likely do a reconstruction to the same standard as we've been doing on College Line, where you go down, redo the base, put in your new granulars, and then do probably a double surface treat, followed again 3 years later by a single surface. And that ultimately would give us another improved surface treatment road.
Okay, thank you for that. I'm playing both sides here because I'm not sure. Let's just say this was a bigger farm and it was 200 acres and there was a big pig barn went in. And they're running these tankers up and down the road all the time. We wouldn't probably ask the farmer to contribute, but I'm just throwing that out there. And as far as the neighborhood, we've already got 2 successful businesses in Kings Mill Corner and no complaints that I've ever heard of. I'm glad we have them. So I think this will be a good fit for the neighborhood.
And just to add to the complexity of the of the process, but just to clarify also that ultimately council tonight is making a recommendation to county council. So a draft of subdivision, the ultimate decision body is county council. So even tonight is not the final decision. It will be a recommendation from Malahide to the county. Just wanted to clarify that further. Any other comments then or questions? So right now, the resolution would be for council to approve what is being recommended by staff as far as the conditions, which then leaves a couple more windows open for further information. So one at the county, and then when it comes back also for potential negotiation of cost sharing. So if I'm not hearing any further comments, we could consider a motion. We can always, once the motion is officially on the floor, we can debate it further if council wishes, but it sounds like we're ready for, let's read the resolution.
That report number DS 25-24 entitled Draft Plan of Subdivision Application of Kelvin and Rosemary Sarloos, authorized agent Cyril J. DeMeyer Limited, relating to the property located at part of Lot 2, Concession 9, 12044 Dorchester Road be received, and that the draft plan of subdivision application 34T-MA24001 of Kelvin and Rosemary Sarloos be supported for the reasons set out in this report, and that this report and recommended conditions be forwarded to Elgin County Council for its review and consideration.
Okay, so mover and seconder. Just 1 second, I'll get a mover and seconder, and then I can open it up for a debate again. So Councillor Lewis moves, Deputy Mayor Widner seconds. Further debate or questions? Councillor Glinsky.
Madam Mayor, just to the developers, are they asking for an industrial site, or are they asking for residential site? Or did they ask for a residential site and we've added industrial site? Somehow it's confusing, and because I went through this and basically I just asked for a residential site, and I was just wondering if that's what he's doing, or are we looking at a possible industrial?
I'll ask our CEO to comment since we're not in a public meeting right now, but our staff can answer that.
Through your worship, to Councillor Glinsky, the zoning is essentially primary use would be industrial. That's the main use. The secondary use, what's accessory to the industrial, would be a dwelling, and Eric can confirm that.
Through Madam Mayor to the councillor. So yeah, the primary use of these lots would be for small scale industrial commercial uses. And then as an accessory use would be a residential dwelling where the business owner operator would reside.
Now, having said that, I think I want to clarify that somebody could, and perhaps correct me if I misinterpreted that, but somebody could build a residential, could build a dwelling and then choose not to operate a business. Is that incorrect?
To you, Madam Mayor, so the typically accessory uses have to be established that are accessory to a primary use. So in this case, the owner of the property would have to operate some form of a commercial or industrial use as proposed under the zoning amendment to have the accessory dwelling.
Okay, so my understanding then is that the zoning, the rezoning that we passed earlier in the meeting, then kind of set the stage for it. It can't be a home only. It has, the home would be an accessory to the business. Because we've declared the zoning the way we did. Is that correct? Okay. Okay. So if that's clear for everybody, we do have the motion on the floor. And further questions, Deputy Mayor?
Well, now we've confused everybody.
I think you gotta turn off.
Does it have,
Turn the red light off.
what's wrong?
The red light. Yeah.
Well,
No, turn it off again.
again?
There.
Okay, that's right. It, does it have to be one structure or can it be like a barn dominium structure? Can it be a home and a business in one structure, or does it have to be two? I don't think it would be, but I'm just asking.
Mr. Steele, could you answer that?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to the councillor, I do not believe that the bylaw would restrict one building to contain both a business as well as actually to clarify, to response to the Deputy Mayor's question, the bylaw permits a single detached dwelling as an accessory use. It does not speak to permitting a dwelling unit within or attached to an industrial area, a use containing the industrial commercial use. So our interpretation of the bylaw would be that it would be a separate structure for the dwelling.
So it could be one building.
Could be one building.
Yep. No, it can't be. Okay. Sorry, I understood the opposite. Like, I thought there was no restriction. So please.
Yeah, so just to clarify and summarize this, the first and primary use that can be established, let's say it's vacant, is an industrial building. That's the first thing that can go in there. No residential dwelling can go into that lot until that industrial dwelling is, industrial use is put in there. After the industrial shop is put in, a separate house, a single family dwelling can be put on that same lot, but they have to be two separate buildings.
So just to clarify then, you don't have to put a house on it. You can just put a business there and, okay.
Councilor Glinski?
Madam Mayor, what happens if the only thing that they want to put in is a residential? They have to put a business in first. Does this hold true for all subdivisions everywhere, or is this just kind of, because this is all new to me?
This is based on the zoning. So this has been specifically zoned industrial.
And this is what they've
Relates to-
requested. They've requested for industrial zoning. Oh, well, so be it.
Just one second. Okay, so since it is kind of, we're navigating new territory, or not, it's not, so it's maybe not new, but not something that we're dealing with regularly. We could make an exception because I'm seeing sort of nods or no's from the applicant. So if you wanted to add information from your perspective as the owners and what your vision and what your plans are, and so that we're all on the same page, please proceed.
Thank you for making the exception for us to speak again. Do appreciate it. I think it might be important for council to remember why this area was designated this way, to allow for this mixture of residential and industrial uses in the first place. Now, I wasn't involved with anything related to Malahide Council at the time, but my understanding, and maybe some of the people who were here during that amendment process could speak up further, but my understanding is that for quite a long time, it's been the position of the county that Malahide has plenty of lands designated for residential uses to meet its long-term needs. The council was looking for ways to provide opportunities for residential and business growth as a way to navigate county restrictions on what they could designate for development. And so this official plan special policies were created, modeled after the Silver Moon Estates subdivision just south of Dorchester, where they have a whole 30-lot subdivision filled with homes and businesses in a combined format. The idea being that the proximity of the houses and the size of the lots would naturally restrict the type of industrial uses that goes on there, as well as the zoning restrictions on what you can use the site for in terms of a business, that the end result would be a neighborhood that lives well and works well together. So that's why council chose to model official plan policies for this specific area after those ones that Thames Center had used. And that's why the zoning was modeled to, like they did, require the industrial use as the main use, but residential as secondary, so that these, from the county's view, would be primarily industrial, but the municipality would get residential growth that it's looking for. And while it's only 8 lots, this was seen as still quite valuable for the community when we're in a housing crisis. And now, just to kind of characterize things, in terms of what we're seeing in that existing subdivision that we're trying to model it after, yeah, you see some automotive uses where somebody's got a small garage doing body work on their property. A prototypical one is like a craftsperson. So this would be somebody who's got a woodworking shop and can do custom woodworking for clients all around. Maybe somebody who's doing pottery, even giving pottery lessons, selling their products out of their facility, as well as doing internet sales, those sorts of things. So it offers a wide variety, but what you get is small scale operations that largely work on the basis of the people who live on the site. And so you get quantities of materials and products moving that are consistent with one or two operators. So that's the vision that we're having here. That's why we're seeing, in our view, that these lots would be, while potentially busier and more vehicles in and out than a typical residential subdivision. We're not allowed to propose a residential subdivision here from our own policies. But they wouldn't even be as busy with in and out and destructive traffic on the road as a farm would be. And that's why when you look even at Silver Moon Estates, Dorchester, the road that they've provided for those 30 lots is much smaller, narrower construction than Dorchester Road is now. It really confuses us, the suggestion that these 8 lots are going to trigger the need for any kind of improvement to the road. This is just going to be delivery trucks, FedEx, postal. Primarily, you get flatbed trucks bringing in like lumber for a wood shop. Those sorts of things. We're not, the lots are narrow. They're not really designed to handle big truck traffic at all. The turning movements wouldn't be appropriate. And they don't need it for this kind of setup. So
thank you, because I think that brings us back. I just wanted, it brings us back to the road condition. So the condition 19 related to the road, which we've already discussed. So I was just curious to see if there were, other clarifications related to the zoning and the types of buildings that must go in first.
Thank you so much for your patience.
So thank you for that. So a couple more questions. So we are in debate mode, so we need to limit a couple more comments per counselor. Counselor Cerna, then Counselor Lewis.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. Are these 8 lots sold? Right, I'm asking a question. Are the 8 lots sold? Right, okay, so how can this gentleman stand there and tell me what's coming and going and what kind of traffic's gonna be there? Because we don't know.
Right.
The lots haven't been sold, so.
Thank you, Counselor Cerna. 'Cause
Thank you.
That point we've debated. Thank you. Counselor Lewis, yeah, no, but we've made the point about the unpredictability of the businesses. It's true that we can't ascertain for sure, like what kind of business. So that's something to consider. Yeah, Counselor Lewis?
Through you, Madam Mayor, thank you. So is there also a zoning, I guess, available to a person of your nature, what yous do, that could have made it residential with the option of putting a business in instead of going the opposite way of going commercial, and then you have to have a residence, because you keep talking residential and build. But I can see all 8 of these lots being a business and not being a residential there at all. So I don't think you gain any residence. And you might get 1 or 2, but like I've owned a garage for 25 years and I will not live beside my garage. I did for 4 years and I moved. So yeah, I don't really, I guess that's my question. Is there a zoning available that could be flipped where it's residential and with an add-on of a business?
Mr. Steele, can you comment on the zoning will be reversed where the business is the accessory to the residence? Would that have involved a different zoning?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to the counselor. So the current residential zones within the township do permit home occupations that are accessory to a residential use. So for example, a lawyer could operate a business out of their home based on certain restrictions in the zoning bylaw, but they reside, or it's completed within their own dwelling. Something what the council is referring to. In this case, the zoning and official plan policies would limit that. In this case, that would be the primary use is the commercial or small scale industrial use, and that the residential is accessory, and that it wouldn't permit that the reverse from taking place without some form of amendment to those policies.
So there's no option to add a very light industrial to a residential zoning? Mr. Diaz?
Through your worship, yeah, just to clarify that, it's mainly the intensity of the use and the compatibility of the two. So if you can imagine, if there was a residential primary use first that allowed that industrial intensification later, you may have 8 homes that are used to sort of residential subdivision way of life, and then all of a sudden one decides to put a garage 5 years later. You can guarantee that there's going to be lots of issues down the line based on that, because people have got an expectation. This puts the primary sort of complaining land use that would form like right first and foremost, so people know what they'd be getting into, and they'll be living there knowing what to expect.
So for this evening, so we're looking at the application for the draft, the subdivision, which needs to go to county for a final decision. So we have the motion on the floor to support this as presented. There no further debate, then I'll ask for the vote. Those in favor? And those opposed? Councilor Glinski, do you wish to vote
No.
one way or another?
Because it's a mixed up mess. I think
Okay, so it's opposed. So abstention is a no. Okay. Okay, so the motion carries. Thank you for that debate, and so to be continued. So this brings us to the next item under new business is Bill 17, the Protect Ontario by Building a Smarter, Faster Act. Mr. Steele, you're also providing an overview of that?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I'll be providing an overview of, for background, Bill 17 proposes to modify a number of pieces of legislation. So I'll be providing an overview just of some of the changes to the Planning Act. The first proposed change under the new Bill 17 includes authority to grant variances from zoning set requirements as of right. So for example, a landowner would be permitted to vary based on a prescribed percentage, such as 10% from or deviate 10% from a zoning setback requirement without the need of a minor variance application. It is noted that this only applies or is only proposed to apply to specific lands, including urban residential parcels, which are defined under the Planning Act as residential lands that are serviced by both municipal water and sanitary sewers. So in this case, the proposed change would not impact the township at this time, as none of the settlement areas have both municipal water and municipal sanitary. Proposed legislation also includes changes that would allow for minister's zoning orders, which have become sort of controversial tools in the past, to also use conditions to be applied. So the ministry could, through the implementation of an MZO, require certain conditions be fulfilled as a part of that approval process. Additionally, it also proposes changes to what are called complete application submission requirements. So currently under the Planning Act, there's a process where when a municipality receives an application, it deems it complete or incomplete. And what that means is, has the township received the information that it needs to start reviewing the application, and initiates the sort of timeline or clock set out in the Planning Act to start reviewing and making a decision on these applications. So this would change or limit the number of potential studies that municipality could require as part of an application submission, to only limit those that are currently within township's official plan. So currently, Malahid's official plan has a number of listed studies that could be required as part of application submission. So if the township wanted to expand that list in the future, it would require ministry approval to do so. Additionally, the bill would also give powers to the ministry to impose regulations that could limit the types of studies that a municipality could ask for. So currently being considered to be exempted from any kind of submission would be matters relating to impacts from lighting, impacts related to urban design, shadow studies, and those types of matters. Additionally, it would also require municipalities to accept studies prepared by certified professionals to be accepted as part of a complete application submission. So previously, in some cases, municipalities have deemed an application incomplete based on concerns of the content of a study that's being submitted. So in this case, so now a municipality would have to deem the application complete before making kind of comment on the content of a technical study. So staff note that currently this could impact in the future if the municipality did want to modify its official plan policies. It would require ministry approval if it wanted to expand the list of studies that could be required as part of an application submission. And finally, it would also proposes to implement policies that would streamline planning approvals for new public schools. So currently, it would propose that no official plan or zoning bylaw could prohibit the use of any parcel of land for an elementary or secondary school. And additionally, it would also exempt portable classrooms from site plan control approval. It's noted that the township's current site plan control bylaw already currently exempts placement of portables up to 2 portable classrooms. And this would further expand that exemption that's already included within the township's site plan control bylaw as it currently exists. And that includes an overview of the Planning Act changes. Perhaps I don't know if Director Boylan is speaking to Development Charges Act changes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I did thumb through Bill 17 and picked out a few items that I thought might be of interest to council. The first being the collection of development charges is now going to take place at the time of occupancy rather than permit. So normally it's collected before anything's built. Now it's going to be collected after something's built. So that should help out the developers because it'll more align our fees with when they're about to receive money for selling a house or a property, whatever. So I think that makes sense from a developer perspective. In terms of like a municipal project that would unlock growth, it might make that more difficult for the municipality to take on just because we would have a huge upfront cost to say service Springfield, and then we're going to wait longer to collect the development charges to fund it. The province is looking to redefine their eligible capital costs. So right now our DC rates are really just, they're calculated in a way that are supposed to fund a set of projects. The province is looking at that potential set of projects and redefining what that could mean. I think specifically they're looking at taking land acquisition out of it as eligible capital costs. So that effect could reduce our DCs in the future when we redo our study. They're looking at doing a simplified process for reducing development charge rates. So currently, if we wanted to reduce our rates, we'd have to go through the whole background process. It's quite onerous. We'd bring in Watson's, do 6 to 8 month review. Now you can just do it through like a council resolution, a quick bylaw change just for reductions. And then the province is looking at what should qualify as a local service. So we heard tonight the planning applicant, this really a dispute over a local service. Who's going to fund a local service, that being the collector road that abuts the development in this case. So the province has acknowledged that this can be a disputable issue in a development, and they're looking to standardize what's considered as local service moving forward.
Okay, some tweaking, but that could be beneficial, some more for the developers and some more for the municipality. But yeah, adding clarity in the process is always good. Comments, so thank you for doing an analysis of that. And certainly it seems like there are changes and new bills coming regularly, so keeping everybody on their toes, that's for sure. So thank you for keeping us up to date. Any further questions or comments? Resolution, sorry, Deputy Mayor?
I couldn't resist. The province is getting a little heavy-handed. They're just overruling some of our wishes like sun, shadow, wind, urban design, and lighting. Doesn't really matter now. They can just go ahead and do it. I wish the province would allow more homes to be built on individual services and sites where appropriate. Then we'd probably get some movement on lots. So maybe that's something we could bring up. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? Resolution, please.
The report number DS 25-22 entitled Bill 17 Protect Ontario by Building Smarter and Faster Act be received.
Mover and seconder, please. Counselor Lewis moves, Counselor Cerna seconds. All in favor? Motion is carried. Should we take a 5-minute recess? Okay, welcome back. We'll continue on our agenda. The next item under new business is the 2025 tax rates. Mr. Boyle.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report relates to a bylaw appearing later on the agenda for the approval of our 2025 tax rates. So as council will recall, the 2025 budget was adopted in January, included a 4% increase on the township's portion of the levy. When we include the county and provincial portion, it comes out to a 2.5%, roughly 2.5% increase for property owners in the township. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? See none, may I have the resolution, please?
The report number FIN 25-10 entitled 2025 Tax Rates be received for information.
Mover and seconder, please. Counselor Leach moves. Counselor Glinski seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Next is a request for improvement of the Brooks Drain Branch A. Mr. Godby.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you, report PW 2518 is a request for improvement of the Brooks Drain Branch A. The township is in receipt of a request for improvement to upgrade Branch A of the Brooks Drain from the property owner that is there in order to alleviate some drainage and erosion issues that he's currently having on his property. As a result, we are recommend the appointment of John M. Spreet of Spreet Associates to prepare the engineer's report and get this drainage project moving. If there are any questions or concerns, I will gladly answer.
Thank you. Questions or comments? Seeing none, may I have the resolution, please?
The report number PW 25-18 entitled Request for Improvement Brooks Drain Branch A be received and that John Spreet of Spreet Associates be appointed to prepare an engineer's report pursuant to Section 78 of the Drainage Act, RSO 1990.
Thank you. Mover and seconder. Counselor Leach moves, Counselor Wilson seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Mr. Sport, can you let Deputy Mayor know? Thank you. Okay, so next on the agenda is a report from the CEO regarding the approval process for the wind energy projects in the township of Malahide. Mr. Diaz.
Through your worship, this report was brought forward following a March 20th delegation by WPD Canada Corporation, who outlined their intention to pursue a 200 megawatt wind energy project, referred to as the Cedar Flats Wind Project within Wards 1 and 2 of our township. The proponent has indicated that municipal support is a critical component in their application to the Independent Electricity System Operator, or IESO, under Ontario's long-term 2 RFP process. Tonight's report is provided after we were able to collect information on the long-term 2 RFP process. Council is provided with 2 base options concerning the approval process surrounding wind energy projects and the roles and responsibilities of the key parties involved. This report outlines both options, including what influence we maintain, the consultation obligations that follow, and the implications of any decision on community trust, environmental stewardship, and potential financial benefit or loss. As always, our approach will need to reflect Malahide's strategic values and community priorities as we identify a path forward that is right for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Diaz, for looking into that. I think that was something, from the initial presentation from WPD and then additional discussions with the community. We had several questions about the process that didn't seem to be clear. So this is very useful. We'll open it up for additional comments or questions. Deputy Mayor.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I guess I know I've attended 2 or 3 meetings on this. There's certainly no community love for this project. There is some tax implication, but we keep our tax rates as best as we can, and it wouldn't matter what we change, it still wouldn't be worth it to anybody to have to put up with this project. So I would have no problem saying we're not a willing supporter of this project. And let's quit wasting everybody's time. Thank you.
Okay, other comments? So, yeah, so the report this evening was initially brought as just for information, and then we have the option if somebody wants to put a motion on the floor to consider. And I think staff provided two options. There are two types of resolutions that we could consider. One maybe a little bit more, I'll call it basic, and then the other one that has a direct comment about the process. Personally, I think the second option, I think that was emulating the Zora. Yeah, that the second option has a direct comment about where I think we're really hitting a roadblock is the process, the IESO process that is asking the municipality to issue a resolution of support before all the impact studies are completed. So essentially asking us to make an uninformed decision, which we've committed to not doing. And so to me, that's a significant flaw, and I agree there's no amount of additional staff reports and efforts with the community that is going to resolve that flaw in the process. So why waste additional resources and efforts and from everybody when it doesn't matter? This particular impasse is not going to be resolved. So personally, I would recommend that we use the second motion so that we can convey the flaw in the process. So Councillor Cernan and Councillor Lewis.
And thank you, Madam Mayor. Getting swamped, just like the Deputy Mayor said, nobody is in favor of this, even in my district, Ward 3, which has nothing to do with windmills. There are signs up that say no to windmills. And I've attended a lot of meetings as well, and I'm getting well educated on windmills, things I didn't know. And I know personally myself that I wouldn't want one. I spend a lot of money fixing a house up, and as I was telling you, I sit on my porch every morning, and I can imagine looking at this thing, and I find out that I know I wouldn't want one. So whatever, I would put forth a motion, because we're here to represent the people. And whatever, you could do 1,001 studies, some for, some against, or whatever, but it's the people that we represent, and they don't want it. They've made it loud and clear, quite politely, I might add. They've been very good at what they're coming across with. They've come up with a lot of good information and everything. So we're here to represent the people. The people have spoken, and I'm all for bringing forth a motion that says Malahide should be an unwilling host. We have it in our official plan that said, yeah, we support them, but that was when they were 80 meters tall. And we said nothing about a 200-meter tall one. And when the rules change, and 80 meters, one thing, 200 meters, that's a different thing. It's like being on a dating site,
Councillor Lewis.
You see a picture of a nice looking girl, and then when you go to meet them, and it's a 350-pound Russian lady with no teeth.
Councillor Lewis.
That's the difference.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you, a lot of emails. I actually had I've got one positive email, gentleman that does want it, says it's all good. The rest were 100% no, and my reply was, your voice will be heard loud and clear. I live amongst them, like I live on Lakeshore. They're around me. And I don't know if that's why I received so many emails, because they found out where I resided. But no, the voice of the community definitely needs to be heard, and there's just no, I can't support it. So I would definitely second the motion of making it, we are no host to this project.
Additional comments, Councillor Leach.
Thank you. I'd like to thank staff for their preparation of these resolutions. It's appreciated. Would this be the appropriate time to rescind my previous motion to prepare a report?
So let's see if there are any, so right now we have a mover. Sorry, so let's see, we have a motion on the floor. We have a mover and a seconder to declare Malahide unwilling host, and including the. So Deputy Mayor Widner was a mover and Councillor Lewis was a seconder. And so let's read the whole thing. Yeah, let's read the whole resolution so it's clear for everyone. And then in answer to your question, Councillor Leach, if that passes and then you want to consider rescinding a motion from previous meeting, then we'll do that. Thank you. Yeah. So we can do additional comments. We'll just read the resolution in full so that it's clear on the table.
Get ready.
Get ready. It's a long one, but I think it's really important. It's worth the time.
Okay. That report CAO 25-04 entitled Approval Process for Wind Energy Projects in the Township of Malahide be received for information. And whereas the Township of Malahide is committed to safeguarding the health, safety, environment, agricultural integrity, and overall well-being of its residents, and whereas industrial wind turbine development may negatively impact public health with reports of sleep disturbances, noise-related stress, and other adverse effects, property values, particularly in proximity to turbine installations, agricultural operations, including interference with crop production, livestock behavior, aerial spraying, and productive land use due to setbacks and road accesses, water resources where construction may pose risks to groundwater, aquifers, and private wells, environmental ecosystems through disruption of wildlife habitats and migratory paths. And whereas the procurement of electrical energy is the responsibility of the province of Ontario, and whereas the current independent electricity system operator, IESO, procurement process requires a municipal support resolution before an application can proceed, yet provides municipalities with limited information about the full impacts of proposed energy projects at this stage. And whereas municipalities are not resourced with technical expertise or capacity to responsibly assess long-term impacts on agricultural health and the environment prior to issuing a municipal support resolution. And whereas while the current process mandates an agricultural impact assessment, it is not required until after a contract is issued, leaving municipalities to make premature decisions without adequate information. Therefore, be it resolved that the Township of Malahide declares itself an unwilling host for industrial wind turbine projects under the current provincial procurement framework, and that the Township of Malahide will not provide municipal support resolutions for any such projects until the procurement process is revised to ensure full agricultural health and environmental impact assessments are completed prior to municipal endorsement. Municipalities are provided with adequate data, timelines, and consultation resources to make informed decisions. Local autonomy and planning authority are meaningfully respected in energy project approvals, and that this resolution be sent to the Premier of Ontario, the Ministry of Energy, the Minister of Agricultural, Food and Rural Affairs, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, the local MPP, and the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, and further that this resolution be made publicly available through the municipal website and local communication channels to ensure transparency and community awareness.
Thank you. And that was moved by Deputy Mayor Widner, seconded by Councillor Lewis. Additional comments? Deputy Mayor?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I went to the Roma conference in Toronto in January, and the Premier stood up and said, we do need more electricity, so they're going to push for more and more and more. But he emphatically stated that anyone's an unwilling host does not have to take them. So let's hold him to his word. We'll declare ourselves an unwilling host, and this project will stop. Thank you.
Councillor Lewis?
Thank you, Mayor. More, no, I'm just going to ask for a recorded vote.
Certainly. Any further comments? And yes, I agree. And I think being unwilling host to this particular project doesn't make Malahide unwilling host of other energy projects. We have great entrepreneurs in our township who have come up with great ideas. So certainly we welcome other proponents, other projects that would have a better fit for our rural community. And this is about just not being a good fit. But we certainly want, the same way we want to contribute to housing, we also want to contribute to energy needs. So if anyone out there wants to come and propose different types of projects, we're definitely open to those ideas. So we're ready for a recorded vote, please.
Counselor Leach,
Yes.
Counselor Wilson,
Yes.
Counselor Cerna,
Yes.
Counselor Lewis,
Yes.
Counselor Galinsky, Deputy Mayor Widner,
Yes.
Mayor Giguere.
Yes.
Good question. We just approved it.
And that motion is carried. Thank you, everyone. Now, Counselor Leach, so, and just as a reminder for everybody, so I think it was at our last meeting. Counselor Leach asked council to, if we could direct staff to do further research, because we were trying to get more informed and as informed as possible before, in the anticipation of being asked for a resolution of support. So before we invest too much resources, there is within our procedural bylaw, there is the possibility of rescinding. If the mover wished to rescind that, then we could also stop further work and resources and efforts from our staff being invested on that. Councillor Leach.
Through you, Mayor, I would like to introduce a motion to rescind a previous decision of council.
Any seconder? Councillor Cerna. Any further debate or discussion? So this would, so this is specific to the request for a report from staff on the process, and I think it was on the, sure, the full resolution was?
That the decision made at the May 15th, 2025 council meeting regarding directing staff to prepare a report related to municipal planning policies and respect to windmills be rescinded in light of new information and direction.
So any further, we have a mover and seconder, any further questions or comments on that? No? All those in favor? That motion is carried. Thank you. Again, the idea is not to waste any further resources on that if we know where the answer is leading anyway. So thank you, everyone. And also thank you for the community engagement. I too have to say that was my experience. It was very respectful. It was, everything was well organized, and that's your job, is to make your voices heard. So thank you for leading that effort for our community. Okay. So this brings us to bylaws. We can pass the 3 bylaws and 1 resolution, assuming there's no further discussion on those. So the resolution, please.
That the following bylaws be now read a first, second, and third time and finally passed. Bylaw 2536, Saarloos rezoning. Bylaw 2537, Vandenborre rezoning. And Bylaw 2538, 2025 tax rates.
Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Lewis moves. Councillor Leach seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. There's no item for the committee of the whole, so we can go straight to correspondence. There are 10 items. Anything that needs to be pulled for comments or action? Councillor Wilson and then Councillor Leach.
Through you, Madam Mayor. I might not be looking at the right spot, but I don't think I see it on the list, but I want to support the Chatham Kent, their Bill 5. It is there. Number 7.
Number 7.
Oh, it's just that there's a bunch of different places.
Yes.
I've been working with the University of Windsor hydrogeology program, and the proposed dump in Dresden is just ridiculous. The water table's at 35 feet and comes up higher than that once you puncture it. So it's, I don't know how they're going to build a dump there. They can't build it deep. I guess they're going to build a mountain. I'm not sure, but whatever we can do to support Dresden and Chatham Kent on this one and want to do that.
That is noted. Councillor Leach. It was the same?
It was the same, yes.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's worth making our voices heard on that as well. Any other items? The resolution, please.
Be it resolved that item 7 be supported and that the remaining items be received and filed.
Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Wilson moves, Councillor Leach seconds. All those in favor? That is carried. There's no items for closed session, so we can go to confirmatory bylaw.
That bylaw number 2539 be confirmatory bylaw be given first, second, and third reading and properly signed and sealed.
Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Wilson moves, Councillor Lewis seconds. All those in favor? That is carried. And that brings us to adjournment.
Yes, I do. Thank you. With this new thing, I don't know when I can say it and when I can't say. I probably should have said this a while ago, but I just want to take the time to say thank you to my colleagues, the mayor, staff, on the outpouring of condolences and everything, and passing of my mother. It was very, very nice of everybody. I just wanted to say thanks. Special thanks to the deputy mayor who, the day of the funeral, he had meetings and everything like that, but through text message and everything, it was like he was beside me all day, making sure that I got through the day. So just want to say thanks to everybody for everything. There was a quorum there at the visitation. And it was really nice. So I just want to say thanks for everybody for being there for me and my family, and we really appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And now for adjournment, resolution.
The council adjourn its meeting at 9:16 p.m. to meet again on June 19th, 2025 at 7 p.m.
Mover and seconder, Deputy Mayor Widner moves, Councillor Cerna seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you, everyone, for the rest of the evening.